What in tarnation?
Howdy folks, this is Apple Geek, and here we are with Season 7, Episode 20. Just before I get into this, just a quick little announcement here. I just want to let everybody know where I stand in terms of spoilers for the rest of the season and stuff. I am spoiler-free at this point. I have not seen titles, previews, synopses, anything for the rest of the season, including the Season 7 finale synopsis, which I know has been released. I have informants that tell me these things so I don't have to go out and find them for myself and get spoiled. And as a result, I am pretty much going into lockdown mode at this point. I have shut off practically everything related to Pony on my Facebook timeline, so my Facebook feed is very boring right now, unfortunately. Kind of missing my daily dose of Pony, a little bit of withdrawal, and, not gonna lie. But it's just something I felt I needed to do because I've been spoiled on too many things this season, and this finale is getting hyped beyond all reason, and it's just a lot more fun for me when I don't know what's coming up, and it's a lot more fun for you guys when I'm more surprised watching these episodes. So and I'm also kind of taking a very cautious approach to comments too on my videos. I'm way behind in comments, and I do have somebody policing them for me, deleting any spoilers that might be popping up, but it's just something I'm very cautious about doing right now, so I apologize if it's going to take me a long time to get back and reply to some of these, but that's just where it stands right now. I want to let everybody know what I'm trying to do. I'm doing my best to make this happen. So, and I've got my theories about what might be coming for the finale. I've got some very interesting theories based on what we've seen thus far in the season and what I've read in the Legends of Magic comics that are related to the episodes we've seen this season. But yeah, absolutely nothing confirmed about what's actually going to happen, so we'll just have to wait and see. And as far as this episode goes, I have definitely been getting some hype on it from a couple people already, but I didn't even need that because all I needed to get hyped on this is the fact that it's a Season 7 episode, and this season has been so awesome so far that why not get hyped for every single episode? So yeah, that's where things stand right now, so without further ado, let's go ahead and give this a watch. Episode 20, starting now.
Thank you so much, Sakura.
Sakura again? What?
I found the crisscross moss without you.
Seriously?
Of course. I know where it grows, so it's not much
Is
to
this...
ask. Though retrieving it has been a difficult task.
Oh, but the oxen visiting Sweet
Tell me
Valley
this is the Sakura
Sanctuary next
backstory.
week will surely appreciate it. It really adds a shine to their coat.
There we go. Now, that wasn't so tough. Fluttershy, tell me, will this be enough?
Gee, I don't know.
Oh
It's a
boy.
pretty big pack, so maybe enough to fill up this sack?
She just rhymed, but...
My, you're rubbing off on me, Sakura.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no, oh no, oh no!
Ah, she's fine. What means Sakura?
Are you alright?
No need to fret. I only got wet. At least now I can easily grab all the crisscross moss there is to be had.
Something good. What was that?
What's happening to you?
Honestly, it's hard to tell, but suddenly I don't
feel so
well.
Oh my word! This is How is this happening? We have a character focus episode on Sakura. I can officially hold this up now. Please, backstory, something. And she's always the one, like, curing everybody else. How are they gonna help her now? And is she at any point gonna break out of the rhyming thing? I'm very curious about this. Hey, Doc.
All right, Sakura, let's have a listen to the old ticker.
Do you think serious, Doctor?
What
Well,
kind
that
of...
wasn't a good sign.
I can't believe a flower did
A
this.
health of information.
Back thinking
New
it was
writers.
pretty.
Coughing bubbles. Okay.
We're looking for any color other than red.
Phew.
And it's gonna turn red. Yeah.
Oh, it's just as I thought. I'm afraid you have a very rare disease called swamp fever.
Swamp fever? Oh boy.
Tell me, Doctor, what should I do? I've never heard of swamp fever, mind you.
Unfortunately, very little is known about the disease, except,
How does
of
she
course,
not know
its
anything about
symptoms. Change of coat, coughing bubbles, sharp sneezing, confusion, and the last stage, the afflicted turn into the very trees that drop the disease-spreading flower.
Is there anything that can be done
What?
for such a terrible conundrum?
Okay, there's a
cure has yet
Fluttershy
to be
tree joke in here
discovered.
somewhere.
I'm sorry, Sakura. It's a lot to take in. I'll leave you two to discuss.
Not helping.
Sakura, this is all my fault. If you hadn't been helping me get the crisscross moss, you wouldn't have gotten swamp fever. I'm so sorry.
Fluttershy, you are not to blame. These things happen all the same.
I refuse to accept that.
There's gonna be a way out of this, obviously.
Oh, there's a healer of legend who never would fail. But I only know her from ancient folk tales. Mystical and masked, she came in the night and cured everything from hoof cough to fur blight. What became
Wait.
of the healer, no pony knows.
This is the legend,
She
isn't it?
disappeared ages and ages ago.
Yes.
The
Yes.
mystical mask,
Yes.
Of course! My parents would tell me about her whenever I was sick in bed.
There's so many accounts of her power to heal. She can't just be a legend. I think she's real.
If that's who we need to cure you, then I'm going to find her. And I know just the pony who can help.
I knew there was one more legend coming. That was the only other thing I knew about the season.
Twilight!
Thanks, Twilight.
Oh, I'm so sorry to bother. Are you cooking?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Spike and I are having a cook-off.
My cauliflower bites blew her sweet potato muffins out of the water.
I'm glad you're here, Fluttershy.
This
because
is
we're gonna
a
need
new
second
side of
opinion about that.
Twilight.
They're both delicious, but
It's not really important right now.
There's no cure, and it's all my fault. And the only pony who can cure is the mystical mask, and I need your help to find her.
Oh,
So what'd she pick?
what now?
The cauliflower bites, right?
Poor Spike. I'm sure they're delicious.
That's the last book on ancient ponies, and still no mention of the mystical mask.
Did we check the unabridged versions?
Yes, and the books on rare diseases, the books on rare plants, and the entire section on bog habitation.
Well, we might have to look through every book in the entire library, but I know we'll figure it out.
Oh,
There's also the Canterlot Library, the Crystal Empire Library. It's gotta be somewhere.
Oh, another dead end. Have you found anything yet, Twilight?
She reads really fast.
Twilight?
Aw.
Goodness, are you okay?
I'm fine. Fluttershy, you know that I want to help Sakura, but I think we'd be a lot better off if we got some sleep. We've been at this for hours.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize how late it had gotten.
No problem. I'll grab you a pillow and...
Oh, no. I meant you should sleep. I can't rest until Sakura is healed.
I understand how
Wow.
you feel, but I still think we'd have more luck if we tried again in the morning. Just promise me you'll take a break soon. Good night, Fluttershy.
Wow. Fluttershy is out studying Twilight. I never would have.
13-inch pan.
What?
Commotion in here, ladies.
Sorry.
She's dreaming about
The
pants?
mystical mask is.
You did?
All I had to do was cross-reference a book about masks with another book on ancient equestrian healers, then use a third book to translate it all from Old Ponish, and there it was.
Old
Sakura was
Ponish?
Right. The mystical mask wasn't just a legend. The mystical mask was Mage Meadowbrook.
Ancient sorceress from Hayseed Swamp? We studied her at Celestia's school. Are you sure?
Wow.
Absolutely. Mage Meadowbrook wasn't just a sorceress. She was also a healer, and back then, healers wore masks so they wouldn't get sick themselves.
Fluttershy.
Have we ever seen Fluttershy so
I'm
excited?
proud of you for using your research skills to figure this out. But Meadowbrook lived ages ago, and didn't she disappear?
But if we go to Hayseed Swamp, maybe we can find something she left behind. Something that could lead to a cure.
It seems like a long shot, but I guess it's possible.
We have to try. I've got a route all planned out, and on the way we can check up on Sakura, and then...
Whoa.
She
We're
is
leaving
out
now?
twilighting Twilight.
The second we spend waiting is the second Sakura is coughing bubbles.
But Fluttershy, you haven't slept, and that's a long journey.
There's no use trying to talk
So?
me out of this, Twilight.
Nope. She is on a
No
mission.
time to waste.
Can we at least grab some breakfast?
Nope.
I
Or,
have
well, maybe.
cauliflower bites.
Aw, no sweet potato muffins.
Aw.
Ate them all. They were actually really good.
Fluttershy packed food for the trip. Got a map planned out. All
The
the.
mystical mask was actually Mage Meadowbrook.
We don't even need Twilight anymore.
That's marvelous, Fluttershy. I am quite impressed. While you're gone on your journey, I'll try not to be worried.
Oh no.
She
Sakura,
didn't
you can
rhyme
run.
properly.
It's getting worse.
No, not at all. Something, ball?
Whoa!
That's it. We have
That-
to go now.
Lead the way, Fluttershy.
Okay. That's a bad symptom.
Uh,
Yeah, she's getting a little groggy there. Wow. Yeah, okay. So is that a wow. It's an interesting village. Is it a conscious effort to continue the rhyming?
So, where do you think Meadowbrook lived?
I'm not sure. Maybe there's some pony we can ask.
I think we might be the only ponies here.
Kind of looks like... Oh, there's probably an old hermit somewhere there.
Wait, I recognize that tree.
You do? Oh, it's like a
Yes,
Sakura
this has to
type
be
tree.
it. It's just like the illustrations of her home.
Any pony who lives in a tree is okay by me.
Ugh.
We're all rhyming now? Sure.
Phew. Well, if the doorway is sealed up, we'll just have to dig our way in. Back up, Twilight. I don't want you to get hurt.
Or we could try the handle.
Really blends in with the bark.
Easy to miss.
Wow.
That was adorable
Looks
seeing
like
Fluttershy
this place
take
has
like a
been
top.
abandoned for years.
Wow.
Twilight, look! It's the
same flower.
kind of lily pad that gave Sakura swamp fever. I wonder if Meadowbrook was looking for a cure for swamp fever too. Do you think she found it?
I hope so, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You're making your excited squeaking noise.
That was not her.
I wasn't making my excited squeaking noise.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, you're
Stop
not
screaming now.
her.
Didn't mean to scare you. I do that a lot.
Scare ponies or rock creepily in the dark?
Well, both I suppose. Name's
interesting cutie
Cattail.
mark.
Pleased to meet you.
Cattail.
Likewise, but may I ask, why are you in Mage Meadowbrook's home?
Oh, I take care of the place. I ain't much of a cleaner, but from what I hear, my kin was neither, so I doubt they'd mind a few cobwebs in our ancestral home.
You're related to Mage Meadowbrook?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my
Grandson
goodness,
or
Twilight,
something?
we did it! Not only did we find Mage Meadowbrook's old house, we actually found one of her descendants.
Honestly, I would not have guessed it.
So you're looking for some kind of cure, huh? Well now, I know Meadowbrook was known to always be writing in the journals. If she had the cure you want, I reckon that's where it'd be. Come on, I'll show you the library.
We're not gonna get to-
Library? Now we're talking!
Not much of one, but
Well, libraries come in all shapes and sizes.
This is good.
it's a very humble
It'll take us less time
library.
to go through everything. Today, my mom made me eat peas. Peas are yucky. And we can probably skip this one. Unless you find a cute chocolate.
I met a colt today. He pulled my mane, so I put a frog on his head. Also not helpful. But I do kind of want to see where it goes.
That looks better.
Wait, listen to this. Today I tried again to brew an unsniffle elixir.
There's the flashback.
And I finally got it right.
Aww. Aww. That was fast acting.
Meadowbrook, I think it's time you had this.
My very own healer's mask. You think I'm ready, Mother?
Oh, mother. Okay.
What
swamp fever.
caused this?
Mother calls it swamp fever. We've been trying to find a
Getting
cure,
a
but it hasn't
A
been
New Orleans
easy.
type of vibe off these.
The fever spread like wildfire.
Wow. Contagious. Oh no, it's highly contagious
Don't
too.
find a cure soon. Every pony will be in grave danger. With Mother sick, I didn't think I'd ever find a cure. But staring at those cursed flowers today, I saw something.
They were immune.
Flash bees!
Gotta catch some.
I realized the flower's poison didn't affect the flash bees, and if they were
Flash
immune to
bees?
swamp fever, their honey could be the cure.
Oh, they're hunt. Okay. There you go. You're gonna get stung. Wow. Queen bee. Uh-oh. Ow.
But they were so aggressive defending their hive, I didn't know how I was gonna get it.
I've been stung before by wasps. It's not fun. What's with the...
Today,
Okay, well, she was
cured
successful.
Mother and the rest of the bayou.
It was the greatest
The bayou.
feeling
Okay,
I've
yeah,
ever
I was right.
experienced, and I promised to dedicate my life to curing ponies all over Equestria.
And she did just that. Right up till she disappeared without a trace.
So all we have to do is find those aggressive flash bees
Why
and
did it just
get them to give us
disappear?
their
That's
honey.
interesting.
Of course, it doesn't say how she did that. What? Is my mane messy? I know I have
Oh no!
something.
No! Oh no!
Oh no! I've caught swamp fever!
Oh, this is not good. Okay.
Sure these are necessary? What? I said, are you sure these are necessary?
Absolutely.
Yes! I won't risk infecting you or Cattail.
What you can't risk is getting any sicker. If you don't rest, your symptoms will only get worse.
You really should rest up before going up against those flash bees. They are nasty critters.
You don't know this about me, but I'm pretty good with animals. And besides, Dogtail,
Cattail.
Zecora is counting on me. I have to help her, just like Meadowbrook helped her mother and all those bayou ponies long ago.
But Fluttershy, as much as Meadowbrook took care of other ponies, I'm sure she also took care of herself.
You're
Yes.
not gonna change my mind, Twilight.
Ooh, being sick, she sure is strong.
When she's out to save her friends, you can't argue with her.
Are you sure you don't want me to come with you?
No, it's too dangerous, Twilight. Besides, I've already gotten one friend hurt. I won't let it happen to another. Whew. Okay, Fluttershy, you can do this.
She's got an awful stubborn streak here to her. She needs to learn a lesson from Applejack on that.
Mind over matter.
Okay, you gonna be able to pull this off? Deja vu.
Hello, Flash Bees. I was hoping I could get some of your honey.
Not gonna work.
I see. You don't let others have any. Well, I'm sorry, but I really need it. Didn't want it to have to come to this. But I'll
The
just
stair.
have to use the stair.
It's not going to work, is it? No. Ooh. Either there's too many of them, or she's just too weak. Or they're immune to the stare. I don't know.
Oh dear.
Oh. Twilight Catcher, please. Thank you.
What happened? Where am I?
I'm so glad you're okay. You're still in Meadowbrook's tree.
You fainted, but Twilight
Another
shot
rhyme.
some magic up and caught you. It was crazy.
Goodness gracious. Have you heard from Zecora? Is she okay?
We got word your zebra friend has started sprouting leaves.
She's already turning into a tree?
Oh
We have
no.
more time.
Actually, you've been asleep for 3 days.
3 days?
Mm-hmm. You were asleep so long we were afraid you wouldn't be able to move when you woke up. But thankfully you just wore
Is she gonna-
yourself down.
Oh dear.
I will be
We have to
disappointed
get
if
back to the
Fluttershy doesn't
house.
actually start
I've
turning into a
wasted
tree
so
here.
much time.
Now hang on there, Fluttershy. Those flash bead critters are tricky.
Cattail's right. I can't even use magic to calm them down. We'll have to find another way to get the honey.
We've tried everything from disguises to things I won't even speak of. Ugh.
He's
I
been through a lot these
Don't
past 3
even want to
days.
know.
Wait. Disguises.
Here, there's her.
That's it.
That's her mask.
I know how she did it. I know how Meadowbrook got the honey.
Okay. Masqueraded
How
as.
Meadowbrook got the honey from the flash bees.
She threw a mask at him? I wouldn't recommend
Not
that.
helping.
No, the male bees aren't aggressive around the queen bee, and this mask has the same stripes that she does.
Ah.
Brilliant!
There's no time to waste.
Curves crossed.
Oh, golly, I can't watch.
It's gonna work.
Mind over matter.
So you could just knock the thing down, but obviously she wouldn't want to do that, so.
Twilight, it's working.
Oh, such an adorable face. There we go. Aw.
I think she's cured now, Fluttershy.
Oh, I do feel fine. And this honey is divine.
Oh, you're
Back to
rhyming
rhyming.
again. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you, Fluttershy.
Nice.
For all you endured. If not for you, I would not be cured.
Oh, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have been sick in the first place.
Oh, come on. It's
Regret
not your
is
fault.
Not what you should feel. Because on this journey, you've learned a great deal.
That's true.
Very true.
You certainly learned that if you don't take care of yourself, you won't be able to take care of any pony else. In fact, if I had rested, like Twilight suggested all along, maybe I would have thought to use Meadowbrook's mask sooner.
Oh no.
Please tell me you found the cure.
Oh, come on. We're like this close to actually having Fluttershy turn into a tree. I mean, come on. I'm positive there's going to be fan art of that regardless, so... Oh, boy. This was quite interesting. Is this like the first really like legitimate character growth or lesson episode we've gotten for Fluttershy that doesn't revolve around her timidness? I think it is, or at the very least, there have not been very many. So this was fantastic. Actually, I need to rewatch this and more fully absorb this, as always. So stay tuned. I'll be right back with thoughts on this. Okay, so I've had some time to sit and ponder this episode for a while. Very great episode. Fantastic Fluttershy character episode. I have some comments on that in just a little bit here, but obviously it did not quite go the way I thought it was. It was not a character focus episode for Zecora. Got a little bit premature in my assessment on that, but I'm still not really disappointed because, hey, we got 2 episodes back to back in the same season with Zecora involvement in, and we did kind of get a little bit of character insight for Zecora. Not a lot, but a little bit, so that's something to work with. And I just like that the writers have acknowledged that, yes, she's still here as a character, she still exists and is relevant, and I'm hoping that means maybe next season we will get a little bit more of her story finally. But yeah, not really disappointed, just went a different direction, so not a problem. Regarding Zecora, it is interesting little bit of role reversal here, because normally she's the one that everyone else is going to with the answer on all these crazy exotic diseases and everything, and she knows the fix. Even if she can't provide it herself, she knows how to acquire it. So she's kind of the reigning expert in crazy diseases and stuff for Ponyville. But this time she didn't have a clue what this particular disease was, or any cure or anything about it. I find that a little hard to believe, given that she is the reigning expert on it, but hey, everybody is always lacking knowledge on something. Nobody knows absolutely everything about everything or anything. So, interesting little bit there. And then, yeah, strange that the doctor at Ponyville General did know about it, but oh well. At least he knew something about it, which led them down the path that it did. So... But this disease, this episode really got pretty dark pretty quickly, because rattling off the symptoms of this, like the final stage is you literally turn into the tree that produces the flower that infected you in the first place. So basically, you die. Great job on saying this disease will cause you to die without actually saying you will die. Great way to make it kind of safe for little kids to watch in that regard. And I just have to say again, you missed a golden opportunity to have Fluttershy actually start turning into a tree. After all that, that's one of those giant memes in the fandom that has been ground into us for years on this, is like, really? I expect fan art. I expect to see fan art of Fluttershy with branches starting to sprout like Zecora did, or else I will be disappointed again. But anyway, yes, very serious disease. I mean, Zecora literally could have died from this, and but it looks like at least it took some time to fully take effect. And it is odd that it was considered a rare disease, because typically something rare isn't something that's like plague level contagious. So that seemed a little odd, but I'm guessing it's just because of the lack of interaction with this particular plant. It's probably only grows in one specific area that nobody really frequents very often, so not really a huge issue per se. But I'm assuming the confusion symptom of this caused Zecora to start to fail to do her normal rhyming. I totally called that might happen in this episode, and that kind of answered a question for me. I wondered, like, is this actually a conscious thing that she speaks that way, or is that somehow just her normal speech pattern? It's fun to see that actually acknowledged, too. Like, Fluttershy at the beginning accidentally rhymed and said, "Oh, Zecora, you're rubbing off on me." I'm not sure if we've actually heard anyone acknowledge the odd way in which Zecora talks or not. They might have. I haven't gone back and reviewed all the old Zecora episodes, but at the very least, it's not a thing that's really discussed frequently. So it's fun to see that kind of highlighted here. But in addition to her failing to do the rhyming, she seemed rather embarrassed by that fact that she was, got all nervous and kind of jittery when she was unable to rhyme properly. I couldn't help but feel like, is that actually a cultural thing with her? Is that something to do with the zebra tribes and the way they communicate? Maybe it's, if you can't speak properly that way, it's, it's an embarrassment, or it's impolite or something. I don't know. Now I kind of want a Zecora backstory episode all the more. I want to understand more about zebras in this world, but it's just an interesting little thing that I picked up on there. So, like I said, a little bit of character insight for Zecora, but hopefully we'll come back to that someday. So, very serious disease, and Zecora couldn't help herself, but at least she knew of this legendary healer that Fluttershy then had to track down. And Fluttershy was fantastic in this episode. I mean, it's easy to see why she got so upset over this. I mean, Fluttershy, absolutely hates to see any living being of any kind get hurt or sick or anything, especially if she in any way has anything to do with it. Now, I don't fault her in the least for this set of events. I mean, Fluttershy had no ill will towards Zecora, and they had no knowledge of this disease or this plant, so therefore this was a situation they could not possibly have known about in order to avoid it. As such, really none of the blame can fairly be placed on Fluttershy. But her being the way that she is, there's no way that she's not going to feel guilty over that. So, it's easy to see why she's just, absolutely insistent on, like, I have to fix this, I have to make this right. And, of course, she's very smart for immediately going to Twilight for help, because Twilight has the whole library and all this knowledge of things. But, interestingly, we saw Fluttershy beating Twilight at her own game on practically every front. I mean, Fluttershy was, doing all the crazy research, burning the midnight oil on that, and, doing the cross-referencing and the translating and all this stuff. And then she even organized the trip, had the route planned out. Oh, I can stop by Zecora's on the way. I've got food packed. We don't need breakfast. I'm like, who are you and where did Twilight go? Because that, again, kind of role reversal here. But I mean, I love seeing how, like, just ultra-focused Fluttershy was. I mean, she wasn't about to let anything stand in her way of helping to cure Zecora. It's very noble goals on her part, of course. But obviously this led to her, not taking care of herself well. She, spent all night doing the research and immediately went on a long trip. So she was already very tired and, running into doors and everything and trying to dig holes under the tree. That was adorable, by the way. And I love, too, it's like, Twilight, stand back. I can't bear to see anybody else get hurt on this. I mean, she's just adamant about it. She's not going to let anyone else get hurt. And that was, consistent through that, through, trying to get the honey from the bees and all of that stuff. She just was willing to give up her own health just because she couldn't bear the thought of anybody else getting hurt after she'd already hurt hurt one of her friends. Well, she didn't hurt her friend, but in her mind she did. So she was not only tired, but then also ended up contracting the disease, and being tired certainly didn't help with that. I mean, that's one thing. When you get overtired and you're lacking sleep, that weakens your immune system, and it's much easier for you to get sick in the first place. So that may or may not have any relevance in this situation, but it certainly didn't help anything. And, if she had just gotten some sleep before the trip, taking a quick nap, or, once they got out there, they found the journal and said it's, honey from these bees, she could have stayed to take a nap while Twilight and Cattail went out to find the bees and assess the situation, and etc. But, again, there's just this overriding desire to, get the cure as soon as possible and not allow anyone else to get hurt. She was insistent on putting herself in the line of fire before letting anyone else do the same for her. So, again, very, very noble goals, but just when you sacrifice your own health or safety to try and help somebody else, I mean, what good is that if you fail yourself? You know, if you're ruining your own chances to actually succeed in your goal, that you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot a little bit on that, you know. So she like, by her own admission, she probably would have figured out the solution a lot quicker if she just backed down and taken a nap and rested up a little bit. So it may or may not have been true. We will never know. But I am glad that she at least could finally see that and acknowledge it. And like I said, she kind of really had a stubborn streak going. It reminded me of a lot of parts of this episode reminded me of things of past episodes. Her stubbornness reminded me of Applejack all the way back in Applebook season. Episode 3 of season 1, I think, or was it 4? Early season 1, where Applejack was just so stubborn about, like, I have to do this myself. I can't get any, I shouldn't have any outside help for this. It's kind of the same way. Also, when Fluttershy was, pushing herself hard to get up in that tree, and, she's weak and having a hard time flying, but she's kind of crawling her way up there, as, mind over matter, have to keep trying. I couldn't help but think of Hurricane Fluttershy when she was just pushing herself to an extreme degree to try and help her friends. So, and this is an interesting example about Fluttershy. Fluttershy is much, much stronger than I think people give her credit for, or that she even gives herself credit for. And we've seen the strength come out many times in the show. We saw this back in, probably for one of the first big times, back in Return of Harmony in Season 2, when she was trying to chase down capture Rainbow Dash, and she's towing the hot air balloon with her friends in it, and she was able to overcome her restraint there. It's like, hey, Rainbow Dash is going to win if we don't do this. She overcame that, was able to power through and catch her. Then, and again, Hurricane Fluttershy, she is able to dig deep and find the power necessary to finish powering up the water tornado thing, water spout, because without that, I mean, they would have messed up the seasons big time. And even in Power Ponies, when she turned into Saddle Rager, it's like she has a lot of restraint on herself. She doesn't like to be aggressive and confrontational, but when it comes to the safety of her friends and other living beings, if there's a threat there, she's going to come out swinging. And so I don't think she gets enough credit for her inner strength on this stuff, and we saw that again here. Cattail even commented on that. So just as overall, the lesson in this is pretty clear cut. You have to take care of yourself in order to better take care of those that you're trying to help. And I will add one thing to that, an angle on this that the show did not touch on. If you are trying to help somebody else out, like, just using this as an example. So Fluttershy is trying to help Zecora get better, but Fluttershy was sacrificing her health and safety to do it. If news of this had gotten back to Zecora, if Zecora learned that Fluttershy had become gravely ill in an attempt to cure Zecora, the same guilt that Fluttershy was feeling on this would have then been placed on Zecora. Zecora would have felt terrible that Fluttershy had hurt herself while trying to help Zecora, because it's just like Fluttershy wasn't responsible for Zecora getting sick in the first place. Zecora wasn't responsible for Fluttershy's poor decisions, but it's still, there's that level of guilt there. When you care about someone, there is guilt associated with that when you feel like you've caused harm to them in any capacity. So that's another thing to think about when you're trying to help others. Don't create a situation where you're going to end up placing the same guilt on them as you're putting on yourself. So, because that's not fair to them either, So, anyway, that's all I got on that subject. As far as Mage Meadowbrook, not a whole lot to say about her. We didn't really get a super in-depth backstory for her. I was a little disappointed we didn't see Earth Pony magic portrayed here. I was really hoping with a name like Mage Meadowbrook that there would have been some actual magic stuff happening, but basically it was just amounted to her being, a healer and an alchemist, essentially the same as Zecora, whipping up potions and elixirs and things like that. I mean, they're could potentially be some Earth Pony type magic involved. I mean, Earth Ponies can interact with the Earth and help to produce good food and stuff at a rapid pace. We've seen that. Maybe they're able to influence the organic compounds with their Earth Pony magic to some degree. Hard to say. But I was really hoping we'd enter some new territory in Earth Pony magic there. I've really been waiting for the show to get into that. So, but I have to point out something. The one other thing specifically on Meadowbrook is the mention that twice in this episode was it mentioned that she just mysteriously disappeared at some point in her life, and I don't think we've really heard that for the other legends, but that's definitely got to be foreshadowing of something to come. And I've got some kind of crazy wild theories about what might be happening for the season finale. I've not seen any of the spoiler information, so I've got nothing to work with other than my own imagination. But at this point, I will be very surprised if it does not involve Chrysalis, and if it does not involve the legends to some degree. Now, putting those two together is a recipe for a rather interesting episode, because how are the legends going to come to life in present day? I mean, they're all presumably long dead and gone, but the one legend that we haven't come across yet is Star Swirl. He's been in these comics, and we've not seen hide nor hair of him yet. So is he going to appear in the series either before or during the finale? Hard to say, but if he does appear, there could very easily be some time travel shenanigans involved with this, and who knows what might happen. So all I know is it's too obvious for these legends not to be involved with this, especially with foreshadowing like this. And if Chrysalis gets in the mix, this could be a pretty epic finale. That's all I know. But anyway, and one other thing to add on here, and this is really branching into kind of conspiracy theory territory here, so I'm warning you right now, this is really out there. It's just crazy things that my mind is putting together. In Meadowbrook's hut there, we saw on the wall around the doorway, on the wall there's two butterfly figurine things. I don't know if they're made out of wood or what they were, but there's two large butterflies mounted on the wall there. And then there was a third butterfly framed and hung on the wall on one of the other walls inside that hut. And we saw those in multiple different scenes, both in present day and in the flashback scenes. Now, we didn't get to see either Meadowbrook's cutie mark or her mother's cutie mark because they were covered up by clothes. I'm kind of disappointed by that. But with all that seemingly very obvious butterfly symbolism there, I'm wondering, is that some sort of like a family crest thing or some such thing? And Fluttershy, of course, has butterflies as a cutie mark. Now, to add to this, given the traits of Fluttershy in general, there's been a lot of people in the fandom that have tried to science all the pony genetics and stuff like that and figure out how pony genetics actually works in this world. And there's a lot of people out there that believe that Fluttershy may have Earth Pony traits from somewhere up in her family tree somewhere. There was... we know it's possible because looking at the cakes, two Earth Pony parents produced a unicorn and a Pegasus. So it's entirely possible with the tribes coming together in harmony that somewhere up the family tree from Fluttershy there could be an Earth Pony somewhere. And we also know that Fluttershy, again talking about her strength, in this episode she was noticeably physically strong, shoving Cattail around even when she was super tired and very sick. So clearly she's got some significant strength, and strength is a trait often associated with Earth Ponies. Furthermore, don't forget that Fluttershy's mother is a gardener. She's, likes tending to plants and stuff like that, even though they're living up in the cloud. That seems like an odd trait for a Pegasus to have. So, yeah, given that there may very well be Earth Pony, bloodlines somewhere for Fluttershy, is it possible that Fluttershy is in some way related to Meadowbrook without even realizing it? Again, this is way out there stuff, crazy conspiracy theory, whatever. I don't even know what to make of that. It's probably nothing significant. even if it was true. It's just it just seemed odd that there was all that butterfly symbolism hanging around that hut there. It just seemed to stick out to me for some reason. So that's what my mind put together from that. The other masks were interesting too, though, with all those plague masks in there. There was one in particular. There was a mask that looks an awful lot like one of the sirens hanging in that hut. So, yeah, given the time period from these legends, again, foreshadowing? Have to wait and see. But anyway, we've got to move on from that. This is... that's basically all there was for the legends and stuff. I mean, now we've seen all of them except Star Swirl, as I noted, so really don't know what we'll see for the rest of the season now. But just some notes on Twilight here quickly before I wrap this up. Twilight was absolutely adorable in this episode. All those crazy faces, the smiles, and the cute little sad face she had when Fluttershy packed the cauliflower bites, but not her sweet potato muffins. She got real sad, and then Spike admitted he ate them all already because they were actually really good, and she got that sly grin on her face. It's just adorable, this episode. Oh, the dreaming about pans. That was leading to a Lesson Zero-esque face when she got startled and woke up. That's crazy. And on that note, cooking. What led to Twilight cooking? I mean, I love this about it. This is a new thing for her. I don't know if she just got too bored with all her books finally and decided to try something different or what, but Spike has pretty much always been her personal chef. I don't know that she's done... I think she was actually making pancakes back in... Was that in Castle Sweet Castle? I think was when she was like making pancakes to avoid going to sleep in her new castle or something. I don't know. But it's not something she does frequently. And I mean, we did just see Celestia making breakfast stuff all the time, and so maybe Twilight became aware of that, and it's like, hey, maybe I need to try this out, emulating your personal idol, that kind of thing. But that aside, Fluttershy was overall just very mature and supportive in this episode. I mean, let's face it, Twilight can kind of be a jerk sometimes. I mean, she's definitely got a cynical side to her, and a sarcastic side, and not always necessarily the most helpful. Looking back, the last time she and Fluttershy were paired up together, that I recall, is the Hooffields and McCults in season 5, and there Twilight was the typical control freak, just over analyzing and preparing and trying to use logic and reason to control the situation, and just wasn't working very well. So she can do that, but then she can also not do enough, like in Triple Threat. More recently here, she, for some reason, she was verbally supportive of Spike, but didn't really try to do anything to help guide him to make better decisions about handling the situation with the double booking of Ember and Thorax. So she hasn't always had the best roles like that, but in this episode, I mean, she was verbally supportive of Fluttershy for all the research stuff that she was doing, and and she was immediately trying to watch out for her well-being, saying, hey, you really need to get some sleep on this, and promise me you'll get some sleep. And then it's like, are you sure we need to go right now? And just like throughout the whole thing, she's trying to get Fluttershy to back down and get some rest and take care of herself. And it's, but not to the point of being overly forceful about it. And it just really felt like she's becoming a lot more like Celestia in this. There's been a select few distinct moments throughout this series where I have seen Twilight really step up and shine as a mentor, type individual. The first time I saw that I recall is in Twilight Time, where when she was handling the situation with the CMCs, kind of taking advantage of her attention and stuff. She didn't get mad or anything. She handled the situation very, very gracefully and maturely. And that was, that was in the season where Twilight was trying to figure out what it meant to be a princess. She was trying to find her role in this world. And that was the first moment where I felt like she really stepped up as a princess. And this was another one of those shining moments where I see a lot of Celestia in her. And I think that's just fantastic to see her growth in that regard. You know, I mean, she's a secondary character here, like she was in Twilight Time, but just her actions spoke volumes, I felt like. So, great job with the writers for giving her the chance to shine like that. So, yeah, that's basically all I've got in this episode. Very fun one. I said that really the best. Oh, and it said that this was kind of one of the best Fluttershy episodes for this entire series, because for the first time, well, I don't know about for the first time, but it's been very rare that we've had any kind of Fluttershy character growth that did not in some way revolve around her, you know, timidness and lack of self-confidence. It's tough for me to beat Fluttershy Leans In, because that was kind of the pinnacle of her showing us all the things that she's learned and coming together in one episode. But, you know, here, it's like now we've clearly moved past that. She's got her confidence to the point she was almost kind of cocky with the whole, you know, it's like, yeah, you may not know this about me, but I'm pretty good with animals. I mean, wow, where did that come from? That was a fantastic moment there. I applaud that. But, you know, a little bit misguided given her being really sick at the time. But anyway, this proves that she is definitely a more complex character than just this one defining characteristic about her. She, you know, now that she's kind of conquered the self-confidence, we see that she still has things that she needs to learn as an individual that don't specifically have to do with her confidence issues. She's almost too overconfident on this one in her abilities, and that almost cost her own health. So, yeah, it's great episode, great rewatch value for that alone. And hey, sorry for the jump cut here. I just realized I completely forgot to mention something about Mage Meadowbrook. We have a continuity problem in the series now. At least it looks like a continuity problem to me. All the way back in Season 5, the premiere, the Cutie Map Part 2, it turns out Mage Meadowbrook was named back in that episode. It was in the scene where Twilight and friends are locked in that house with the propaganda blaring over the speakers. And Twilight was talking about this staff of sameness that Starlight was wielding to remove cutie marks. And Starlight had claimed that it was one of the 9 enchanted objects. And Twilight was saying that said she admittedly did not know as much as she should about Eastern unicorns, but she was pretty sure that Mage Meadowbrook only had 8 enchanted items. So that while that statement doesn't directly say it, it is very strongly and heavily implied that Mage Meadowbrook is, in fact, an Eastern unicorn. So, yeah, this Mage Meadowbrook is an Earth pony. So we have a problem here. Now, it's not impossible for there to be 2 ponies in this world with the same name. We've just never really seen it before that I can recall. At the very least, it's an exceptionally infrequent thing for us to see that. You know, maybe background character discrepancies or some such thing. So, yeah, well, and interestingly, we kind of have a tie-in now for the Eastern Unicorn bit, too. I mean, Mistmane looks like she's from the Eastern Unicorns, because that whole village there, they all had the curved horns, and the very clear, you know, Asian, Chinese, whatever cultures were represented there. So that interesting little tie-in to that. I'm wondering if they based Mistmane's society off that line, but if they did that, why did they make Meadowbrook an Earth pony instead of a unicorn? You can see the dilemma here. So, I'm not sure what to make of this. Do we just want to say that there's 2 different Meadowbrooks out there, or was this an oops on the writer's part, or I guess talk amongst yourselves and feel free to throw around theories, but I'm very confused on this now. I was willing to accept that a Pegasus could, in some way, create spells like I talked about before with Somnambula, but here we have a very distinctive issue with supposedly the same character being described as a unicorn while actually being an Earth pony. So, yeah, make of it what you will, theorize, whatever. Just wanted to throw it out there and bring it to your attention. So, but anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and hope you enjoyed this with me, and I look forward to the next episode. So until then, have a great time.